Welcome to the Poisoner's Cabinet. I'm Sinead.
And I'm Nick.
And this is your weekly podcast exploring the lives of the great poisoners, macabre murders, and captivating crimes from across the centuries, and creating curious cocktails inspired by the tales that we tell. And it's episode 218.
Is it? Are you sure?
I wasn't sure for a moment there.
Well, I'm very glad.
Well done, us.
Well done, us.
Well done,
Aren't
us.
we marvellous?
We are very, very good. And crippled with self-doubt.
Modest about it.
How are you, Nick?
I'm fine.
You're fine.
I'm fine.
It's the nights of fair drawing in,
They
aren't
are
they?
indeed. Aye.
You've got your blanket.
I know, there's a nip in the air. I could potentially close the windows, but oh well.
Maybe, yes. Turn off that fan and that air conditioner.
Yeah, ticking along, ticking
Very good.
along.
Any poisonings this week?
I don't believe so.
No. It's too cold
It's
for
too,
that.
None of that. There's not
That's
enough
a summer
time
job.
For that. Exactly.
I must be put together before I poison.
Precisely. Got too busy stoking the fires and cutting the logs for winter.
Throwing children down chimneys.
Exactly. It's a busy time.
It's a busy, busy time. I'll take a moment right now in this busy, busy time to say a huge thank you to all of our listeners, to everyone who has recently left us reviews on Apple iTunes and also where you listen to your podcast. Everyone, when you leave a 5-star review, it makes a massive difference to all podcasts. Whatever podcast you listen to, it gets us in front of different eyes, and hopefully they will love the show as much as you guys. But we really, really appreciate all of you who have left reviews. Please keep them coming.
We appreciate all of you, apart from you. And you know who you are. And we'll speak about this later.
There's about 10 people that's going, how does he know? Well, speaking of doing things that Nick knows about, but I don't, and also being lovely, though, at the same time,
Very much
I think it is time for us to thank our delicious Patreon subscribers.
Indeed, this week we must say thank you very much to Ashley Sheldon,
To Dead Gardener.
to Chantel Strong de Powell.
And to Random Personality 2019.
There's a mystery there.
There's a mystery.
There's a mystery.
AI-generated followers. We love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I, for one, welcome our robot overlords.
Indeed.
Thank you, delicious, sexy, sexy Patreon subscribers. We had fun on Patreon this week.
We did we? Yes, we did.
We did. We spoke more on the
delights of phrenology.
The delights of phrenology, and also a very, very important case for neuroscience, the old legend of Phineas Gage. Yes. And there was lots of chat on Patreon that actually gave me inspiration potentially for this week's episode too.
Oh, God.
Next week's episode.
This week,
It's this week. This is this week.
It's all the same.
It's not my episode. I don't know what day it is. No idea. But thank you, Patreons.
You're an inspiration continuously.
If you want to know what the hell we're talking about, please do consider checking out patreon.com/The Poisoner's Cabinet. This is the area where you can support the show and you can get extra content from us every single week, every month, every single time you think of us. There'll be something on there, probably.
Probably just for you.
There are different tiers from $5 a month or up to $15 a month with different bonuses on there, but it is packed full of extra content and lots of fun things, as well as some amazing people, a beautiful community on there. Do check it out if you love what we do.
An extra 250 episodes
Oh, yeah.
on there. There's a lot of shit going on.
There is a lot of stuff. There's a lot of
lot of
behind-the-scenes content. There's a lot of chatter. You get to know me and Nick a lot better. And
that's a terrifying thing. So.
It is. We thought it would be insightful and witty.
Yeah.
We'd be
and
swilling.
that's on the lower tiers.
The higher tier gets the real juicy stuff. We thought it would be us swilling brandies in leather wingback chairs talking about philosophy and stuff. Actually, it's us necking whatever we put into the glass that might make a Negroni and talking about penises, usually. And we don't intend to. It just happens.
It just happens.
It
just naturally occurs.
I know. We don't start out by going, you know what would be funny? And somehow it's like, why does it always come back to this? Anyway, well, Nick, are you ready
Yes.
to drink cocktails and talk about poison?
Are you?
Or we could drink poison and talk about cocktails.
Are you quite finished?
Yes.
Well, then let's do what we should be doing is.
Shall we go with the first one?
Okay.
Hooray, hooray, hooray. It is Nick's story this week, and we can't possibly have a story without a cocktail in hand. As you know, dear listeners, every week we choose a secret ingredient that is inspired by the tale that we tell, and it will flavour our cocktail of the week. Nick's story, so his pick. And this week's secret ingredient is...
Is a president.
President?
A president.
The president?
No.
A
president.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That's the Marseillais.
Yes, it is. Yes, the president of France.
Well...
It could be.
Yes, but I fully thought that was the American national anthem.
No, it's different.
What? Do say, can
That's
you
the one.
see by the dawn's early?
Bit different, yes.
Shall I stop?
I think it's probably wise you do.
Please say something else, otherwise this will continue. A president, you say? Wow.
You're currently offending many, many countries.
Okay, why? Well, with the president as your inspiration and your ingredient, what have you come up
So
with?
this week, we are having El Presidente.
El Presidente.
El Presidente.
Is it El Presidente or
Dante,
El Dante?
Dante.
He's got big teeth.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
Right. Oh, El Presidente. I
Presidente.
like it. Oh, this is president of... Oh, maybe a Southern American place. I won't do the national anthems for there.
Yes. Tell me some Southern American national anthems.
I will. But first, I require my special national anthem flute. Do you have one?
Did you not bring yours?
Well, damn it all. I can't do that. I think it is important for us right now to sneak into the Poisonous Cabinet kitchen and shake up a storm. So we'll see you in a minute.
We'll see in a bit. With a big pot of coffee.
And we're back.
Hello.
So, Nick, El Presidente.
El Presidente.
Now, this is a very vibrant colour.
It is.
This is a shocking kind of orangey red.
Red.
It's red, isn't
Red.
it? Yes. It is very... And it's sort of neon red. I've
Red.
described this as a neon drink.
Okay.
And I stand by it. I don't know what Presidente drinks.
Red things.
Red things, clearly. It has smells. Interesting. Okay. Well, I think it's time for us to dive in to the President's health. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit nothingy, isn't it?
Not a fan of that.
It's not really doing anything. Second sip? I don't know. That's sort of... It was like, nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. No.
No, I'm actually approaching active dislike of that.
Yeah, me too. It's not offensive at the start.
It lingers on the back of the tongue somehow.
It does. It's got a really bitter
Yeah.
front taste that lingers and there's nothing to back it up with.
Yeah.
Normally it dissipates into some lovely flavours, but that's
I'm
a
not
bit
enjoying that.
astringent.
Not enjoying that.
Yeah. Oh, that's wrong.
Yeah. Well, that's a shame.
I don't want to drink that.
No, I don't either.
Oh shit. We've had such good cocktails.
We've had a good run. We were
No,
owed a bad one.
and I wouldn't have minded something that was spirit forward and rich, though that instantly makes me want something light and refreshing. Oh dear.
It's got a weird aftertaste on it.
Yeah, it's not good. Is it because we just drank that Negroni with
No,
rum?
what I have a small suspicion it might be one of the bottles is probably slightly past its best.
Oh Jesus.
Not in a it's going to kill us sort of way, but it's
Good.
but is in a it's maybe I may be entirely wrong.
Well, I don't know. Also, I have been mainlining little snacks also. That's decimated my palate. But I don't think so. My palate's pretty robust. I'm going to risk a third sip just to be sure. And it's a tiny sip, by the way. I mean, smaller sips help, but it still doesn't taste of anything. Apart from that bitterness.
Well, I'm not
No.
enjoying. I'm not going to push that. I'm not enjoying that.
Oh, God. Oh, people. El
No.
Presidente has betrayed us. He's turned on us. He's turned on its people.
Not a fan of that one.
Okay, well, so guessing, because of the colour, is Campari in this?
No.
It's not Campari. Aperol?
Nope.
Something else vibrantly orange?
Yes.
Or red? Oh, God, I'm not sure, though, what that is. Because it just doesn't taste of anything. There's something bitter in there for sure. Is it a type of vermouth?
Yes.
Yes. It's not red vermouth.
No.
There's rum in this, isn't there?
There's rum. Yes. So
But,
the base
I
food is
sort of
rum.
knew that because
Yes.
you were wandering around the flat going, but I had rum
Why
to
did I buy
yourself.
more?
And I was like, what are you doing?
So yes, there is some rum. There's some sort of medium light rum.
Yeah, which is nice. Anything else? I don't know. So vermouth, something bitter. I thought it smelt of oranges a little bit, or orange peel.
Yeah, or not? Yeah, absolutely.
Has it got a triple sec
Yes,
in
triple
it?
sec, yeah,
A triple sec,
indeed.
but don't taste it.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Smell
you've
it.
got the oranges, so yeah.
Okay, so rum, triple sec, onto a good start.
Yeah.
What else then? What is it?
There is dry vermouth,
Oh, right. Okay.
dry vermouth, and the colours come from some grenadine.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's
what
grenadine.
that's where the colour comes from. Yes.
Why does none of that taste of anything?
Well, grenadine doesn't taste of anything.
It does a little bit.
It tastes of sugar, and there's such a tiny amount.
Well, yeah.
I thought I'm thinking it's the dry vermouth that's giving us the bitterness.
Yeah, the dry vermouth is not good.
And I'm thinking potentially I've just had that bottle a bit too long because it does
It does go.
It does go because it's like a wine, like a white wine. If you leave that for too long, it goes.
Yeah,
So-
that's the thing. That's my problem with dry vermouth. I have it very rarely, apart from a martini, and I want a martini once in a blue
Yeah,
moon.
exactly.
And then I have some dry vermouth. I make the martinis, and then I think I can't let this sit out, so I
Yeah.
use it for cooking. and then do a little splash here, a little splash there, a little splash in my face, and then there's no more vermouth for the martinis when I want them. But then...
But there's, I've had that bottle probably on there for...
16 years?
Well, probably a good 6 months.
I thought you were going to say 6 years.
No.
Then what? 6 months isn't actually that bad, is it? Surely?
I think it is for that, unfortunately.
Yeah, but you'd keep your red vermouth for that long.
Yes, but I think it is slightly. I think it is different though.
White vermouth, maybe.
Yeah. So I think that's what's giving it that slightly bitter twang that.
Even so, I
shouldn't be there.
Genuinely feel But with dry vermouth is very hit and miss in cocktails, I found, because it is quite a strong flavour. That's why I like a dry martini. If you have a wet martini, even with the freshest squeezed vermouth out there, it can taste acrid. It can taste a bit, because dry vermouth is a weird flavour. And maybe this just isn't the right quantity.
Just doesn't quite work.
I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
Can I have a gin and tonic instead? Do you have any gin left?
I've got a wee bit of gin.
Can I have it?
If you go and make it.
Or I can make something else. I could have an Arches and tonic.
Do you want an That sounds terrifying.
I know, I just saw the first thing and I just spoke out loud.
You went with the Archers.
I thought you had lemonade.
No.
No, you've never had lemonade in your life. What am I talking about? Yes, we've had to get rid of those cocktails. That was not good at all.
That made me sad.
That was one of the worst, maybe.
Yeah,
as in, it's not. There's bad tasting ones we've had, but that was just no.
Disappointing and just like no. That's a waste of good spirits.
Pointless.
Yeah,
that's what that was. But we have taken those away.
Yes, we have
the
moved
El
on.
Presidente has been shoved down the road, and we now have extra drinks. We have some water and some Coke and a gin. With that in mind, is it time for a story, Nick?
Yeah, it certainly is.
Yay!
So, to begin our story...
We
will start at the beginning. It is early afternoon.
Yes.
On the 2nd of January, 1935.
Oh, very nice.
And Mr. Roland T. Owen walks into the President Hotel in Kansas City.
Is that what that is?
Yes.
Is that it? Right. The President.
It's a lovely hotel.
Okay, you could have just had a hotel.
I could have done. That's true. Okay. But there are not that many hotel-related cocktails that aren't specific hotel-related cocktails.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Okay, but he's walked into the hotel.
He's walked into the President Hotel. He is a very well-dressed gentleman, and he is quite specific in his requirements when he gets to the check-in desk. He asks for an interior room on a high floor of the hotel. The hotel is more than happy to accommodate his requirements, so he checks in. He uses a Los Angeles address in his check-in, and he pays for a single night upfront in cash.
Perfectly reasonable.
Perfectly reasonable indeed.
What a normal sounding guest.
A normal sounding guest. Now, the staff do remember him arriving, and later they came to remark that, yeah, he had seemed perfectly friendly. They thought him mid-late 20s. Or so. He wearing a dark overcoat. They noticed a scar on his temple, and what they thought was cauliflower ear. So they thought maybe he had been a boxer or a wrestler or something
Harry
like
Potter.
that, or Harry Potter. The one thing that did seem slightly odd was that he had no luggage with him at all. He had not even a carrier bag or anything for a change of clothes or anything. But hotel, not going to ask questions. Crack, you want a room, mate? There's your room. Absolutely. So the staff at the check-in, they hand him his room key, and bellhop Randolph Probst accompanies Roland up to his room on the 10th floor.
I'm assuming Randolph has grander designs than being a bellhop with a name like that.
Well, one would hope. And his parents certainly do. He's there to become a great concierge. Yep. So off they go up in the lift, and the two sort of chat on their way. Roland tells the bellhop that the night before he had stayed at the nearby Mullenbach Hotel, but he had left. The price had been a bit too rich for his blood. It had been $5 a night, that hotel.
Scandal.
So he decided to leave and find somewhere slightly more reasonable, and he had ended up at the President.
Okay. This is what year again?
1935.
1935. Oh, okay. Fine. Right.
Yes. They arrive on the 10th floor, and Randolph, the bellhop, directs Roland to room 1046, which, as requested, overlooks an internal courtyard of the hotel rather than the street outside, as he had asked for. Roland enters the room, and Randolph, the bellhop, sees him he takes a hairbrush and a comb and some toothpaste out of inside pocket of his jacket and set them above the sink, on a shelf above the sink. That is the extent of his unpacking. Roland then turns around and leaves the room. Randolph bellhop follows, locks the door, and gives the key to his guest.
Yes.
They go down to the lobby.
What? Turns around, locks the door, gives the key to his guest.
Yes. What? So Randolph bellhop has the key.
Yeah.
He's opened the door.
Yeah. Roland
has gone in.
Yeah.
He has taken his toothbrush, hairbrush,
and
put them on there. Roland has then walked out of the room
Yeah.
to leave. Randolph has locked the door behind him and given Roland the key. It doesn't help that they're called Roland and Randolph.
You can't lock the door and then give someone the key if they're on the other side of the door.
They're not, they're on the same side of the door. Because Roland has now
he's
left the room.
Right.
He's
okay,
now outside
sorry,
of the room, in
right.
the corridor.
That was the bit I missed.
With the bellhop.
Right.
Randolph locks the door.
Right.
So no one can get in the room and steal the comb hair.
The comb hair and the toothpaste, yes.
And then they both go down to the lobby.
Right.
And Roland leaves the hotel. Out and about on his business.
Oh, right, okay.
Clear? Everyone
Yes,
clear with what's going on?
I'm absolutely fine now.
Marvellous. Later that afternoon, so that was about 1ish or so.
Mm-hmm.
Later that afternoon, the hotel maid, Mary Soptic. Now, she is doing her rounds, cleaning rooms and things, and she knocks on the door of room 1046. There is no response, so she thinks, okay, fine. She lets herself in to have a tidy, have a clean, or whatever needs doing. She goes in the room, the curtains are closed. It's very, very dark and dim inside. It's still light outside, but the curtains are closed. There's a single lamp lit on the bedside. And as she enters the room, she is surprised to see Roland sitting in a chair, just in the corner of the room, just sitting there in the chair. So she apologises for the interruption and goes to leave. But Roland says, no, it's fine. Carry on, do what you need.
Speaks.
Oh yeah, he speaks, absolutely. Yeah, no, do as you need to do. So she does her duty. She cleans and does what she needs to do in complete silence. And as she's going about her business, Roland gets up, he puts on his overcoat, and he leaves the room. But as he's going out, he asks Mary if she can leave the room unlocked when she leaves. He's got a friend coming up shortly, he says. So he wants the room left unlocked so he can make himself at home in case he's out a bit longer than he anticipates. Mary says, absolutely no problem at all. Roland leaves, she finishes, and off she goes, leaving the door unlocked as requested. And she continues her business.
Okay.
Happy?
Yeah,
Happy so far?
confused, but
Confused, but happy.
there's a lot of coming and going and
There's
locking
a
and unlocking
lot
of doors.
Yes, there's a lot of coming and going indeed.
Right.
Now we're moving ahead a few hours now. So it's now about 4 p.m. that same afternoon.
Right.
Now Mary is once again doing her rounds. This time she's delivering fresh towels to the rooms. So once again she knocks on room 1046. There's no answer. So as before, she lets herself in. This time the room is in total darkness. No lamp lit this time. The only illumination is coming from the light in the corridor, sort of behind her. So she assumes no one in. She goes into the room. Roland is lying on the bed, fully dressed, seemingly asleep. Again, she says her apologies for the interruption. Nothing. There's no response whatsoever. But he's breathing. She tells that he's not dead or anything. So he's just lying fully dressed on the top of the bed, presumably asleep. She leaves the towels in the room. As she turns to leave, she catches sight of a note that's been left on the bedside that obviously he must have written. And in the light from the hallway, she's able to read. It says, Don, I will be back in 15 minutes. Wait.
Okay.
It's a note that's left on the bed.
That she just happened to turn around and just read
and
it from afar with eyesight like a hawk.
Yeah, well, how you'd be nosy, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. If you were a maid in a hotel, I'm going through everyone's stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Precisely.
Putting on their clothes,
Yeah.
putting on their lipstick, dancing around. My name is Tallulah.
So, going through all their shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, absolutely. So she sees this note on the bedside. She's going to go and find out what it is.
Just like looking at the note, pocketing 20s and everything, going out. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
The next morning, Mary is yet again on duty, and she is on her rounds to make the beds. She reaches room 1046. She finds the door locked this time. Now, doors can only be locked from the outside. So you can't lock them from the inside, so you have to lock them from the outside, lock them with the key, and off you go. So she assumes that the guest is out and about. He's locked the door behind him. So she uses her own key, lets herself in to tidy. To Mary's surprise, there sits Roland, just as he had been the day before, curtains drawn, sitting in the dark. But she's momentarily confused. You can't lock the door from the inside. Someone has locked this man inside his room. And it's all very, very odd. And as she's thinking this, she's sort of startled as the phone starts to ring.
Ooh.
On the bedside.
It's quite a chilling scene to keep walking in and seeing a man sitting in a chair in the dark or with a lamp, or just sitting there.
And whenever she's asked later, she always sort of has said sort of that he seemed very distracted. He seemed either worried or nervous. He was certainly not comfortable.
Yeah,
he was certainly
on edge.
On edge, indeed. So yeah, the phone starts ringing, and Roland, sitting in his chair, reaches over and answers the phone, listening to whatever is being said on the other end. And he replies, "No, Don, I don't want to eat. I'm not hungry. I've just had breakfast." And puts the phone down. "I'm not hungry.
I'm not hungry,
I'm
Don.
not hungry, Don. I don't want
Stop
breakfast.
offering me croissants."
Indeed. So this conversation seems to sort of pull him out of his sort of reverie, his sort of sitting there, and he starts a conversation with Mary. And it's a perfectly lovely, just casual chat, really.
How are you?
How are you exactly? He asks.
What's the worst filling for a sandwich?
He asks about the job. It's just like, does she do the hotel? Does she just do the floor? What is her? But he's just curious about her and what she
questions.
Does. Maybe stupid questions, but these are what.
Do you just do the one floor? What, of this entire hotel? I come in and do one floor. You're mental.
Do you do
what?
all of them? He asks, is the hotel residential? Do guests live here, or is it purely sort of business and tourists? And so he seems quite interested in the hotel at all. And sort of Mary is politely responding to this sort of
trying
chat,
to clean the tub,
as she's trying to make the beds and all this and this sort of stuff. And he repeats his complaint about the Mulbach Hotel being overpriced and unnecessarily expensive for what it was and things. So they have this pleasant conversation. Mary finishes, and off she goes, leaving Roland sitting in his chair in the dark. Later that afternoon, 4 p.m, and like clockwork, Mary appears with new towels, as she does every day.
Oh, she bet she's dreading this.
She approaches the room.
She's all over it. She's like, what next in this room?
What's going to happen next? She approaches room 1040, and she can hear two men talking inside.
Oh dear.
She can hear voices. She knocks, and the talking stops. And a loud, sort of deep voice, one that she knows is not Roland's, not
she's been
the
chatting
guest.
with him.
She's spoken to him. Asks who it was. Mary replies, saying she's got new towels. The man replies that we don't need new towels. Now, Mary knows this is not true. She took the towels for cleaning to the laundry when she was there this morning.
Right,
so there are
okay.
no towels in the room. So she knows you have no towels. But she goes, oh, fine, fuck it.
Right.
Doesn't push the matter, and off she goes.
No. They don't want towels. They
want towels. They don't get towels. Indeed. A few hours later, around about 6 p.m, a new guest checks into the President Hotel. This is Jean Owen. Now, she lives not far from Kansas City. She'd been in town on a bit of a shopping trip. However, just as she was due to set off for home, she started feeling slightly unwell. And rather than sort of risk the 2-hour sort of car journey home by herself, she thinks, I'm just going to go check into a hotel, stay the night, feel a bit better, and then I head home in the morning.
It's a bit pampering, a bit self-care.
Exactly, just enjoy an evening in the city, sort of thing, while I'm feeling a bit peaky. Quite by chance, she is assigned room 1048. The one next door to Roland. It is also quite the coincidence that the two have the same surname, Owen. Roland Owen and Jean Owen. There apparently is no connection between the two, just
common name.
Weird happenstance. That night, she does not get a wink of sleep. She hears a variety of men and women coming out of the room next door. She hears raised voices, a lot of swearing, apparently, though she can't hear exactly what's being said. She says later several times that she was on the verge of calling down to the desk to make a complaint about this, but every time she is, it sort of quietens down. So she goes, okay, fine. And then it starts up again, and then she goes, I'm going to make a complaint. And no, it's gone again. So she doesn't in the end. The hotel elevator operator, a chap called Charles Blotcher, whose shift started at midnight, he also remembered that evening being much, much busier on the 10th floor than was usual, with people coming and going. He reported that things started to quieten down around sort of 1:32 in the morning. There was still a loud party going on in room 1055, a bit further down the hall. That was going on to the wee hours. But still there were much more people than usual wandering in and out.
Yeah.
Charles, the elevator chap, remembered one visitor in particular, a woman that he had seen at the hotel a number of times, visiting various male guests in their room.
I see.
Charles had taken her up to the 10th floor, and she had gone off down the corridor, knowing exactly where she was going. A short while later, the elevator was called back up to the 10th floor, so he dutifully goes back up to the 10th floor, and it is this woman again, who complains, where's the man in 1046?
Oh.
Apparently, she has...
a liaison?
an
appointment.
She has an appointment. She is expected in room 1046. Charles doesn't really know what to say. He has no idea if the guest is in or out, or if he had organised a lady visit. He has no idea what's going on. So eventually the woman sort of She waits around for a bit, sort of casually chatting with Charles, and eventually back down to the lobby, and off she goes. The chap she's here to meet
weird.
doesn't turn up or isn't answering the door. They don't.
But then,
know which.
according to his neighbour, there's been noise in and out of that room all night.
Yeah,
but she
indeed.
hasn't found it.
But the door has certainly not been answered when she has gone to there. Now, earlier that evening, a curious event occurred not far from the hotel that may or may not be connected. We're not entirely sure.
Okay.
It involves a man who matched the description of Roland Owen.
Yeah.
They say whether it's actually him or not has never been established conclusively. Around about 11 o'clock that evening,
Yeah.
a chap called Robert Lane, had been driving along 13th Street when a man had dashed out into the road to flag him down. Now, the man was dressed only in undershirt, trousers and shoes, and this was middle of January.
Yes.
So it's going to be a bit nippy. It's not your ordinarily clothing for 11 in the evening. So Robert stops. The man apologises, saying he thought Robert was a taxi cab. But then he asked Robert can he take him to somewhere where, is there a cab rank nearby, or can you drop me somewhere where I can get a taxi? Robert goes, yeah, okay. This chap looks a bit flustered and is obviously not dressed for the weather here. So get in the car. Yeah, I'll take you to a taxi cab. As the man gets in, Robert notices that the stranger has obviously been in some sort of altercation. He's got deep scratches on his arm. He's cradling his arm as if in pain. Robert commented, "You look as if you've been in it bad," he says. The man replied, "I'll kill that bleep tomorrow."
Oh.
Now, the newspaper that later reported the story redacted the name.
Right.
So
it was meant to be a name.
Yeah, so I'll kill
rather
that.
than a swear word.
So whoever.
Oh, that
tomorrow,
person. Right.
Whoever. But yeah, the name was redacted in the newspaper reports. So we don't actually know what the name was.
Why would they redact that? Well, I guess. Sorry. I mean, on one hand, like, you might have to bleep it out in case it was a case of prejudice. In today's standards, it's the fucking 30s.
Well,
and newspapers going, well, we don't want to prejudice case, but let me tell you all the details.
Yeah, well, this paper decided to not print the name of the man who was being threatened.
The only justification for that would be if the name was so unique.
Maybe.
Yeah. If it's,
Maybe,
I'll
or
kill that Bob.
well known.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yes. You'd have to be able to instantly recognise that name.
So perhaps it was one of those names.
Maybe.
We don't know.
I'll kill that Eduardo tomorrow.
I'll kill that whoever tomorrow. Robert drives his unexpected passenger to the intersection of 12th Street and Trouse Avenue, where taxis usually congregated. He stops, lets the man out. The man thanks him and then jumps into a cab. Robert goes on his way.
Ugh.
It is only later that Robert comes to believe that the man who flagged him down was an injured Roland Owen. And I think it's probably time for a break.
Let's have a drink.
A lot of chat.
There's a lot of detail.
There's a lot of things going on.
Nick, we have our drinks.
We do.
What on earth is going on?
What is happening to dear old Roland?
There's people just coming in and out of rooms.
All
There's
sorts
people
of
sitting in the
confusion.
dark. There's men running up and down the street wantonly after fights.
It's a crazy, crazy time.
What is this leading to?
Well, who knows, indeed. We'll find out.
I hope we do. Otherwise, this has all been horrible.
So, it is now 7 a.m. on the 4th of January. The next day. After the partying and the unsuccessful lady visit and such like. Morning after, 7 a.m. There's a new switchboard operator at the hotel, Delia Ferguson.
Lovely.
She's on shift.
She's there just like joining all of the cables
Exactly,
together.
she has got a pre-arranged wake-up call for 7 o'clock to make to room 1046. But she tries to make the call, but she notices that the phone is off the hook.
Oh.
She cannot get a connection. There's no outside call. She would know. So the phone is off the hook. She sort of summons the bellhop, Randolph Probst. He is back on duty again, and he is dispatched to go and knock on the door, give this wake-up call, and say, put your phone back on the hook. So off he goes. 10th floor, gets to room 1046. Once again, the door's been locked from the outside. There is a do not disturb notice hung on the doorknob. Randolph knocks several times. He's got a wake-up call, so do not disturb, be damned. And a voice tells him to come in. The door's locked. He didn't have his key with him. He didn't think he would need it. I can't get in. You need to come and open the door. The door's locked again from the outside. The man is locked in his room. No, I can't come in. I haven't got a key. The door's locked. Can you come and open the door?
Yeah.
The chap again says, come in, turn the lights on. I can't get in. I can't. And then nothing. And then eventually Randolph just goes, put the phone on the hook. And he leaves. And he goes, I've had enough of this. He thinks he's probably just pissed, hungover.
Yeah,
had a skinful the night before, whatever. Just put the phone back on the hook and I'll let him sleep or whatever. He goes back downstairs, reports back to the front desk. Yeah, he's drunk. He's just drunk. He'll go back up in an hour or so, make sure he's all right. But fine. By 8:30, the phone is still not on the hook. So another bellboy, this is a chap called Harold Pike, is dispatched up to room 1046. Now, this time Harold is prepared. He's got his key. He's got his master key. And he goes up, and despite the do not disturb sign, no answer after his knocking. Harold unlocks the door and ventures inside. The room is dark. The curtains are drawn. Harold can make out what he thinks is the naked form of presumably Roland lying on the bed, seemingly fast asleep, snoring his head off. Roland seems to remember it looks as though there are some like dark splotches on the bed linen on the bed. But he's not sure, is it just shadow or stain? Has he bloody pissed himself in the night or something like that?
Spilling drinks everywhere.
Spilling drinks, exactly. So Harold, he puts the phone back on the hook. He doesn't bother turning the light or anything. He just let the drunk man sleep, and he leaves.
But then he wants a wake-up call. You're supposed to wake them up, but he can't physically wake them up.
Yeah, exactly. They've been up there.
They've done their job
several times to try and wake him up. If he's still lying in bed, what can you do? You can't turf him out, chuck a bucket of water over him. So they've done their job as far as they're really concerned.
Yeah.
Off he goes, leaving this figure to sleep off his hangover, just to get over it. 10:30, the phone is off the hook again. And I was like, it's weird. What's going on? And obviously the switchboard can tell what's happening. So Randolph is set up to investigate again. Go up, get the man to put the fucking phone back on the hook. It's like, what is he messing around with? This time, Randolph, he has got his key as well. He lets himself into the room. He opens the door, and he sees Roland naked, and he's crouched on his knees and elbows, just on the floor, a couple of feet from the bedroom door.
Jesus.
Randolph turns on the light and sees Roland. He's breathing. His head is covered in blood. The entire room, the bathroom, the bed is covered in blood spatter. Randolph backs out of the room, terrified, and he runs for help, going to get the duty manager. Both of them go back up to the room. But this time they find that Roland must have fallen forward and now is blocking the door. They can't get the door open because his body is in the way. So they get more help, and between like three of them, they manage to push the door, sort of shoving Roland's body back to sort of get into the room. He's alive. He's barely conscious, but they sort of try and get him onto his feet, and they sort of sit him on the edge of the bathtub. Sort of sit there, man.
Sit there, have a whiskey.
Happened?
You'll be fine, sir.
I'm sure sort of try and propping him up. What's happened? And they send for the police, and they send for a doctor.
Yeah.
And Dr. Flanders from the Kansas City General Hospital arrives along with the police. They see Roland has been bound with cord around his neck, wrists, and ankles. His neck is covered in bruises. It looks like someone has tried to strangle him. He's got several stab wounds to his chest.
Jesus.
Just above the heart. The doctor, from his initial sort of examinations, thinks one of his lungs has been punctured by one of these blows. His skull has a fracture on the right-hand side, again, from multiple blows. The doctor cuts the ropes off, cuts his bindings from Roland, and asks...
Did no one think to do that beforehand?
Apparently not.
We weren't sure if this was medical or not.
Yes.
Christ, people.
So the doctor, gets rid of these bonds and says, who has done this to you? Who has done this to you? He replies, nobody. When asked, how have you been injured? He says he had fallen. He'd hit his head on the bathtub.
Hit his head on the bathtub and also landed on a knife several times.
And tied himself up.
The
doctor then asks, did you do this to yourself? At which point he falls unconscious. He is rushed to the hospital. He never regains consciousness, and he dies of his injuries in the early hours of the 5th of January.
What the fuck?
Now, the police quickly just sort of jump into action. They interview all the rest of the hotel guests. Have you heard anything? Have you seen anything? Do you know what the hell is going on with this man? They take particular interest in Gino, in the woman next door, who reports, yes, all this activity and disturbance the night before. For quite some time, the police aren't convinced that she's somehow implicated. They seem to can't get over the same surname. So you must be involved somehow until it's proved that, no, she absolutely wasn't, and she was poorly.
It's coincidence.
It's entirely random coincidence that she's in the room next door. So eventually they go, okay, fine, you have nothing to do with it.
Okay, fine.
Okay, fine. The autopsy and the examination of the crime scene lead investigators to believe that Roland's wounds had been inflicted between 4 and 5 that morning. Over there. They also found it odd that there were no clothes in the room. Despite him now having been there for 3 nights, he had been staying there. There were no extra clothes or anything like that. Just the single set of clothes he had arrived with. That's it.
But he didn't have any luggage, did he?
No socks, no spare underpants, none of that. Nothing, any of that. Neither were there any knives or weapons that could have inflicted these wounds on there. So he quite clearly hadn't done this to himself. So that is quickly sort of scrubbed off the list of possibilities.
Yeah.
But whoever the perpetrators were, they have left not one shred of evidence behind about who or why they have done this. Now, the murder is all over the front pages of the City the next day, really, and police ask for anyone who has come into contact with Roland, who knows why he was in Kansas City, please come forward. Tell us what you know. We have no idea.
That's what the article reads. Please help us. We're absolutely flabbergasted.
Please. Detective Johnson confirms to reporters that the case has been considered a homicide, saying,
Do you think?
There is no doubt that someone else is mixed up in this.
Thank God they had the finest man on the case.
Classic detective reporting going on there.
Yes, this man who's been bound up, stabbed, hit over the head, strangled. We think he might not have done this to himself.
Now, when Roland had checked in, he had given an address in Los Angeles as his home address. Kansas City police reached out to their LA counterparts to try and track down a next of kin. We need to inform someone about this poor man's demise. In LA, there is no record of Roland T. Owen ever having lived, ever having existed in LA. The people at the address he had given have no idea who he was, no connection whatsoever. The search is expanded. But wherever they look, no one has ever heard of Roland T. Owen. Roland T. Owen never existed. Then it was false name. Then it was remembered that when he had arrived, he had made a great fuss about complaining about his previous hotel, the Mullenbach Hotel, and how expensive it had been and what a waste of money. So police visited the Mullenbach. No Roland T. Owen had ever checked in there. Though the man in the papers did bear a striking resemblance to a guest who had checked in under the name of Eugene K. Scott. Again, with an LA home address. Eugene K. Scott does not exist either. Does not exist either. So papers across the country soon began picking up this mystery. This is no longer just a random violent homicide in Kansas. This is a real puzzler. Multiple names, aliases. No identification.
Travelling light.
Who is this mystery man? We need to know. So yeah, it goes all over the country. And sketches of Roland are soon appearing in papers, all over the place, with requests for anyone who recognises this man, please come forward. Please let us know what you know. But with so little information, police are really left struggling how to proceed. And then, within a few days of his death, there are 2 new homicides in the city, which sort of take up other police resources. Attention is taken away. New things get put in the paper. And incoming leads are still followed up, but they get fewer and fewer and fewer. Press coverage gets lower and lower and lower, and everything starts to just dwindle away, really. Roland's death makes the newspapers again on the 3rd of March. Okay. This is like 2 months later, after his death. It is announced that he is going to be buried as John Doe in a sort of unmarked pauper's grave. The next day, the funeral home receive a call from a man asking that the funeral be delayed, so that he can send in funds to give the man a proper burial and a service at the Memorial Park Cemetery, saying that the man should be buried near his sister.
Oh.
Now, the funeral director tells this anonymous benefactor, well, I'm going to have to tell the police this information. So, and the chap says, yeah, fine, okay.
I wasn't the one to tell you.
Doesn't give a name. Doesn't give a name of who he is. The funeral director then decides to play a bit of detective and asks, why? Do you know why he died? Why this man was killed?
Good for him, asking questions. Like it.
And the caller, replies. He says that the man had been having an affair with one woman while being engaged with another. He says cheaters usually get what's coming to them. And he hangs up. The service was postponed, and as agreed, an envelope containing $25, which was enough to cover the funeral costs and things, arrives within a few days, sender unknown. Money is also sent to a local florist for floral tributes and things for this man, all from this anonymous unknown figure, and we still don't know who this person was.
No.
Who sent these things. This sort of rekindles interest in the case and this mystery, and again, sort of papers across the country sort of pick up this, especially this anonymous benefactor, pick up this story, and again, images of Roland, whoever he is, are put in the papers, hoping that someone can identify, and eventually it does prove fruitful.
Okay.
In Birmingham, Alabama, Ruby Ogletree is reading an issue of the American Weekly, which has an article about the case. Accompanying the article was a picture that is the spitting image of her son. Now, Ruby contacts Kansas City Police and explains, yes, she's not seen her son Artemis Ogletree.
Great name.
Excellent name.
Great name.
Not seen her son since he had left Birmingham the previous year. He was going to hitchhike to California.
Okay.
That was his plan. She had received regular letters from him during his travels and things, but she had not seen him. She gave a full description of her son, including the distinctive scar on his head, on his temple, which she said had been a result of a childhood accident, but was not really widely reported on. So how on earth would she have known about this particular distinctive feature? And it was established that, yes, this was Artemis. Confirmation of his identity, though, as Artemis Ogletree, only raises more questions.
Yeah.
Ruby had been receiving regular letters from her son, telling her of his travels, of his experiences and things, including ones from after he had died.
Right, okay.
She had still been receiving letters that she had believed from her son after police knew he, was dead. In February of the 1935, he had died in the January. In the February, Ruby had received a letter, supposedly from Artemis, postmarked from Chicago, just telling of his travels. Then in May, a letter from New York had arrived, saying that he was going to travel to Europe. He was leaving New York, was going to travel to Europe, have a lovely, lovely time. Ruby had no idea anything was wrong, and just so pleased that her son was out there, experiencing the world, having a grand old time, and he had made it all the way to New York, he was going to travel to Europe. How exciting. What a wonderful adventure her son was having. No idea that he was dead. In Kansas City.
If it wasn't indeed him.
Now, when police read these letters, they instantly twig that the recent letters had been typewritten.
Yes.
Not handwritten like his previous ones.
I was going to say,
and they're not in quite the same style as Artemis's previous letter. Ruby hadn't really noticed the difference. She was just happy to receive word from her son, really. So she hadn't really twigged that it was particularly different. She was just delighted, but police had clocked it immediately. With Ruby's descriptions of her son and information that she was able to give them, police were able to identify another Kansas City hotel, the St. Regis, where Artemis had stayed, again under a pseudonym. This time, staff remembered that he had asked for a twin room and checked in with a friend. In 1937, the police arrested a chap called Joseph Murphy for murder. After it was discovered that he had killed a man he had shared a room with and put the body in a trunk to be shipped to Memphis.
Right.
Okay. One of several aliases Joseph Murphy used was Don Kelso.
Oh, Don.
So was Joseph Murphy, the Don at the end of the phone, the Don that had been written the note for, was this the man that Artemis had shared a room with, the St. Regis, potentially? Had this man killed him? We do not know. No charges were ever filed against him for Artemis's murder. He was charged for another murder, but not for Artemis's. No one was ever charged with Artemis Ogletree's death. Different detectives picked up the case every now and again, but with no one really being able to make any further headway on things. By the 1950s, it was well and truly cold and forgotten about in the basement of Kansas City Police Department. Everyone had just forgotten about it. Some people thought that Artemis had indeed been killed in retaliation for a broken engagement or having an affair, as the sort of anonymous caller sort of insinuated.
Right.
Some people think that he may have been somehow got involved in organised crime.
Yeah.
And he had he borrowed money from the wrong people, had he done something like that, made a promise that he could not fulfill. Others suggest that Artemis and this mystery Don character, had they been meeting for a romantic liaison, had that been the reason, had they been a homophobic attack, had Don flipped and killed his lover, his partner, or whatever, hence the need for multiple aliases and things like that around Kansas City.
Or was it the jealous husband?
Or was it a jealous husband? yeah, we will never know for sure what happened to dear old Artemis Ogletree.
No.
Yes, that is the story.
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery. We do not know what happened.
That's a great mystery. That's got
It's a
so many
sad mystery.
elements. It's sad, but it's very strange.
It's very and for
very
someone to,
strange.
for someone to carry on writing as if they were him
well,
after his death and things. That's very odd.
well, to be honest, the first thing I thought was he a spook?
Well, no.
Was he a spy?
Well, no,
Someone who turns up with multiple aliases, no luggage, nothing to identify him.
Yep.
You know, a comb, a brush, and a toothpaste. Yeah, you'd have a wallet on you. You'd have something else. He didn't have a wallet?
Well, I think he had a wallet, so
But it had any identification?
But no, I think not that I'm aware
No,
of.
like he had money.
No, has some cash in there.
So it does sound like he's taking all these he's doing this liaison with someone else.
But yeah, very cautiously and
yeah, and has he been killed? In a very ritualistic sort of way.
I don't. Yeah, well, I had not considered a spook. Yeah, because the way he was like bound, and yeah, I mean, was someone trying to get information out of him or something
Torture?
like that? Yeah, so
People coming in and out and everything. It does smack of spy.
that's very true. I had not thought of that.
Because you would go to such lengths if the mother had the son went off. People trying to cover their tracks would be okay. Write letters to the mother, a bit longer. Sending the money over again if he had been killed by an enemy or a contact or something to get information. Maybe one of his contacts would send money and of course give the cover story. Oh, he was killed by a jealous husband. You know, you're not going to come looking. You're not going to go, oh, there was nothing spy-y about this at all. Oh crap, I shouldn't have said spy. So maybe it's a cover. Maybe that's the thing. And again, it's so mysterious because why would the person ring up and not give the identity of his sister away?
Yeah.
You know, you can stay anonymous, but why wouldn't you then say, this is this man's name, or this is his sister's name, do the math yourself. Bury him in that area. That it just sort of that much mystery smacks of there's something a bit bigger going on there.
Yeah, something in behind the scenes going on.
Or as you said, was it a very clandestine relationship that no one wanted to talk about?
No one wanted to talk about, but in the 30s, in that part of the world, no one's going to admit to that.
I mean, if he was having an affair with a woman and he was already married, that would have come out. That would have come out.
Someone would have said that's
the wife would have come knocking. Someone would have said something, and she wouldn't have been that. It would have been traceable. You would have think, and also like, why wouldn't he be going into that hotel with more stuff?
Yeah.
Stay there 3 nights to have an affair? What? And there's no woman who's turned up apart from apparently a sex worker.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, but maybe he was meeting his male lover.
Maybe. Yes.
Don, and he was really anxious about people seeing him. But then why was he killed in that? Was it a homophobic attack?
Yeah. Was it? Yeah. Was it?
Or was it a trap? Maybe was he planning to meet someone for a liaison? And then that's how he was killed.
That's how he was killed.
Because,
that's maybe,
and he wouldn't ever admit what had happened.
Yeah. No, indeed.
Because that's not uncommon. Oh,
I mean,
the manner of the death is so. If he'd just been shot in the head, I'd be like, boo-hoo.
Yeah.
Of course I'd be like, no, that's very sad but in the canon of our episodes, we'd be like, people die.
But to be bound like that and then stabbed through the chest and your head
and strangled
and head cracked in and stuff, that's a level of violence
to such a level of violence, and then for him to be saying no one did this.
Yeah.
You are keeping stum for a reason. You're protecting someone.
Yeah.
It's your life is not worth it if you reveal it.
And that's potentially why sort of the organised crime thing was sort of raised.
Maybe, as you said, organised crime.
Because you would say, no, I fell over and I hit my head.
I mean, it does feel very organised crime, doesn't it? To sort of say, like, send money and make sure he's buried properly, but we're not going to really give so much away. Send the mother a few letters to keep her happy or to cover up the crime. I mean, what would he... But the thing is that organised crime is like, what's he doing? There doesn't seem to be any kind of big exchanges, or maybe there's big conversations.
Who knows?
Don Corleone was there.
That was actually written about them, the Don. It's like, oh yes, mafia bosses are called Don. He met a man called Don. And I'm thinking, no, that's a stretch.
The Don doesn't message you and seeing if you want breakfast. Doesn't call up. No, and you don't call him Don, by the way. You say Godfather. That's what you say. You say, no, I'm absolutely fine. Well, just a croissant. Thank you. Just a ham and cheese toasty.
And you don't refuse breakfast.
You don't refuse.
If the Don asks you for breakfast, you don't say no.
What have I done to deserve this ungrateful man for breakfast?
So, yeah, that was a stretch. But
you can well imagine it. I mean, like we said it just there, but you can well imagine people go, in organised crime, Don is quite the thing, isn't it? Unless you misheard. Unless he was going Don. I don't want... She thought it was Don.
But it was also written on the note on the nightstand.
I'll be back in 15 minutes, Don. Yeah, you wouldn't be going Don. Would you? Yeah. Would you? Am I wrong? Would you?
Yes, I mean, my knowledge of organised...
It's based entirely on films.
Based entirely on films. I'm not sure how real that is.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. It does seem like torture or a message.
Yeah, there's definitely
something really.
Someone sending a message
for information, for rage and retribution and hatred, or you blabbed boy. Wow. So. What happened? I want to know.
But we just don't know. No one knows.
Well, what do you think, people? What do you think of the story of... Well, we don't know his name, do we?
Artemis Ogletree.
Oh, well, is it, though?
Yes.
Was it definitely Artemis Ogletree?
Well, that's what everyone believes, yes.
So the mother was like, that's definitely my son.
That's him, yeah.
Okay.
Everyone believes that, yes, that was his name.
Okay, there we go. Well, what do you think of the story of Artemis Ogletree? Fantastic name.
Brilliant name.
Was wasted in whatever he was doing. Also, yeah, you'd change your name if that was it.
You would need an alias, wouldn't you? Because that's rather distinctive, it has to be said.
Don't worry, I'm going to go on to this name. What's your first name? Artemis. Okay, we might be able to work with that. What's your surname? You know what? Don't. I got to Ogle and that's it. No. We call him Engelbert. Tell us what you think. Jump on the comments of this episode. Share your thoughts, your feelings, your theories about what happened to Artemis. Was Artemis his real name? Do you think he was involved in organised crime? Do you think he was a spy? Do you think it was a crime of passion or hatred, or just a freak accident?
A weird accident.
These things can happen.
Yes. He fell over and hit his head on the bathtub.
But most importantly, while you're musing all these possibilities, don't. Make an El Presidente.
No, whatever you do, just don't.
El Presidente is awful, and I don't like his regime.
No, indeed not. Have a gin and tonic or a Coca-Cola. Much better.
Which is what we did.
Yes, exactly.
I'm so sorry for Nick and for you. That really was... I don't know how many drinks that we've had that after the first sip we've gone instantly no.
Yeah, though neither of us have finished.
Even if it's something strange of a taste, we will usually persist until we go, oh, we've learned our lesson now. We've learned our lesson enough. Don't mix it up. Mix up any of the cocktails. Mix up any cocktail that you might happen to find on the Poisonous Cabinet website.
Absolutely. Go and have a look. Put your favourite things in and mix up whatever you find.
You can search any ingredient and you will find all of the cocktails that we have ever made along with Nick's commentary on it, as well as the ingredients. So you can go on there and you go, that sounds nice, and then it'll have Nick either going no or Nick going yay. So do search for the cocktails this weekend, because this one was a dud. I mean, go ahead if you want to, but share other cocktails that you're having.
For the sake of completeness, the rest we will be out, but just ignore it. Just don't look at it.
Don't look at it.
Don't look at it.
Don't sell your eyes.
Yes, exactly. Just no.
Just, if you do make it, go on to the post that we've done and go boo.
Yeah. Comment about a much lovelier drink you're having.
Absolutely. Tag us in any photos of cocktails you're enjoying, any bars you're visiting, any menus that you find that we can get inspiration for. Please do, as ever, leave us a 5-star review on Apple iTunes, on Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. It makes a massive difference to us. Join us on Patreon if you want more from the Poisonous Cabinet every single week. And just be lovely.
Yes. Just be delightful.
Frolic into the mist.
Just frolic.
Thanks for listening, guys. We have been the people inside the Poisonous Cabinet. We will see you next week. And remember, your loved ones are trying to kill you.